Welcome to VibeCast, your go-to channel for real conversations on Africa's economy, politics, and society. I'm glad you tuned in today, because we're diving into something that concerns every single one of us, the state of our economy, and what we can learn from our neighbors. Now, I'm sure you've seen the headlines. Ghana's economy recorded 6.3% GDP growth in the second quarter of 2025. Not just numbers on paper, this is the fastest growth Ghana has seen in 2 years. And it's being driven mainly by the services sector, banking, trade, education, insurance, alongside agriculture, particularly livestock. Even inflation in Ghana is cooling, now down to 11.5%, the lowest in 4 years. Compare that with Nigeria, where our GDP is crawling at 2.98% and inflation is sitting painfully at 21.88%. Food prices are biting, salaries are shrinking, and honestly, the average Nigerian is not feeling any kind of economic progress. So here's the million-dollar question. What is Ghana doing right that Nigeria is not doing? Because if you look closely, Ghana doesn't have half of Nigeria's natural resources. They don't have our population size, they don't have our oil wealth, and yet, their economy seems to be moving in the right direction while ours keep struggling. Let's unpack this. First, services. Ghana has deliberately invested in diversifying its economy. Financial services are growing. Education and health services are expanding. Trade is becoming more structured. Almost 10% growth in that sector alone. In Nigeria, however, we are still over-reliant on oil revenues. When global oil prices shift, our economy shakes. Agriculture and manufacturing, which should be our backbone, remain underdeveloped due to poor policies, insecurity, and weak infrastructure. Second, inflation management. Ghana has battled inflation before. It hit as high as 54% in early 2023. But today, they've managed to bring it down to 11.5%. How? Through a mix of tight monetary policy and external support from the IMF. Now, I'm not saying IMF loans are a magic bullet. They come with their own issues, but at least Ghana is showing discipline in sticking with a plan. Nigeria, on the other hand, is struggling with inconsistent policy signals, currency instability, and heavy spending without enough productivity to back it up. Third, policy execution. Ghana is proving that reforms, no matter how tough, can yield results when there is commitment. In Nigeria, we announce big reforms, subsidy removal, exchange rate unification, fiscal tightening, but the execution is often messy, inconsistent, and leaves citizens confused or burdened without cushioning. So let me throw these questions out there. Why is Nigeria still clinging to oil as the foundation of our economy when even Ghana, with far less oil, is diversifying successfully? Why is our inflation on a very slow downtrend, while Ghana's is on a faster downward trend? What are we missing in our monetary and fiscal policies? And most importantly, can we honestly say our leaders are learning from success stories around us, or are we too proud to admit that we need to borrow ideas and strategies? Let's be real, this isn't about competition. Ghana's success doesn't mean Nigeria has failed. But it does highlight the gaps in our system and the urgency for reform. Our size should be an advantage, but right now, it's becoming a burden because we can't manage it well. The truth is, the Nigerian people are resilient, entrepreneurs, farmers, creators, tech innovators, we're pushing every day. But without a government that backs us with clear, consistent, and people-focused economic policies, our resilience will only stretch so far. So where do we go from here? We need to diversify, seriously, not just on paper. Agriculture, services, and manufacturing must become real engines of growth, not afterthoughts. We need to manage inflation better, not by throwing policies at the problem, but by ensuring stability in supply chains, security for farmers, and transparency in fiscal management. And we need execution discipline. Policies must go beyond announcements. They must be followed through, measured, and adjusted quickly if they're not working. Because at the end of the day, GDP growth is not just about numbers. It's about whether the average citizen can afford food, send their kids to school, and live with dignity. Ghana is moving closer to that reality. Nigeria can too, if we get serious. So, I leave you with this thought: if Ghana can rise from an economic crisis to achieve growth and reduce inflation, What's stopping Nigeria? Is it leadership, execution, or simply the will to do what is necessary? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with your circle, and let's keep the conversation going. You've been listening to VibeCast, where Africa's biggest conversations come alive. See you next time.